So, Coach, first of all, what are your takeaways from this past weekend? Tough match against Northern Illinois, but you bounced back with a sweep of Western.
We played very well in the NIU match. I think it's a match that a number of phases of the game went really well. We served at a high level, passed at a high level. I think there were a few things that we could have done better. I think the big thing was defending against off-speed, defending the tip. They were able to score a number of times there. We missed some defensive assignments. That phase got particularly better the next day. I think the next day, Saturday, the overall level of play wasn't as good. I think there were times it was just kind of sloppy. But at the same time, we were able to be very effective from the service line. That was good. And then we defended at a much higher level. So it just looked different than maybe some of our games lately that has been very offense-driven, a little better connection, setter to hitter and passers. But we blocked. We blocked 13 balls in a three-set match, which is very, very good. I think it's the most any team in the conference has blocked in a three-set match this year. And so that part of it was very good. But I just don't know that on Saturday I'm not sure we brought the same level of emotion and intensity to Saturday that we brought to Friday.
Can you talk about what you as a coach do to kind of combat that when you play such a highly charged match on Friday and then you come back with a match on Saturday that maybe isn't quite as highly anticipated?
Right.
How do you deal with that?
Well, it's a challenge, and it's not specific to this team. That's a challenge just in sports in general, and that's even you look at even higher levels of play in professional sport, and that still happens. People go on road trips, and they're great against a big rival or against another division opponent, and then the next day it just doesn't look like the same group. And so we try to talk a lot about functional communication and just kind of communicate your way through those moments to help bring you back to what you consider a high and routine level of play. But I think Saturday was a great example in that we were really focused for the first set, and we really got after it, and then we realized, we can probably be a little less than our best today and still win, and then before you know it, we're not playing near the level that we need to be playing. Western Michigan's too good of a team, they're too well coached for us not to be playing at our best, and so I think we were fortunate to win the next two sets when maybe we weren't putting as much into it as we needed to.
Mallory's been playing at such a high level the past month, really, mm-hmm. And how do you manage her, I guess, participation in practice just to keep her fresh since she's a senior and right. She's been so involved in every match we played in. Right,
so involved is an understatement. Yeah, she's doing everything for us right now, and we joked after the match with Western Michigan is that she still had over 5 kills per set, but she only had 16 kills. And so I joked, said, all right, that's it, kid, you're off the team, sorry. But she's just been exceptional. And we do have to, as is often the case with seniors, we do have to limit her somewhat in practice to make sure that she's good for the weekends. That's not just our team, that's a lot of seniors around the league, around the country, that you will let seniors play through almost anything, because the reality is they're down to weeks left in their career. If it were a younger player, they would have been pulled for the same injury. They would not be cleared to play. But that's just the nature of it. That's the nature of all sports, and you see that again in every sport. They're going to let seniors go out there as long as they're not going to create further injury and some kind of a long-lasting damage to themselves. We're going to let them play. But we do have to very much limit her in practice. So far, that's been okay. She hasn't shown any kind of a lessening of her level of play because of that. But it's about finding that balance, because if you just go off all week, then we're going to probably lose some of our skill on the weekend, just being out of the habit of touching the ball. Usually it's kind of an every other day type thing. Sometimes it's 2 days off, 1 day on. Just kind of depends on the week, but we definitely have to watch that.
Kind of going back to what you were saying about her being everything for the team right now, is there any concern about becoming one-dimensional with getting so into the habit of going to her that maybe teams are going to start keying in on her and trying to take her away?
Yeah, I think that was our concern about a month ago, and then we did it, and she went crazy anyway. And so it's just, every team that we play knows what she's capable of doing, and so every team that we play has a plan to stop her, and she's still found ways to be successful. And it would be helpful for a variety of different reasons if we were more balanced on offense, for getting more kids more involved. I think it's been obvious the last few weeks that our 3 pins, I mean, those are the kids that are going to be leading, and that's true for most teams, but I do think we need to work to get more from our middles. Part of that is learning. I mean, Simone is still very much learning the position. Katie's been in there, but probably hasn't been as involved offensively as I would like. We have to pass the level to do that. Setter has to trust that the hitter's going to put the ball away, and the hitter has to put the ball away, and that's how you develop trust between hitter and setter. So I think that's something that she's going to be a key piece for us, I believe, going forward, Katie, that if she can become a more terminal attacker and be a little more aggressive offensively, then I think it will really change our team and what we're trying to do, because we know that people are going to commit to Mal. She can expect 4 hands, but if we have 4 hands in front of Mal, that means we only have 2 hands in front of Katie, and we need to be able to score. Because they're lined up next to each other in the rotation, so that's 2 out of the 3 times they're up there together. So that's going to be an important thing for us going forward. But at the same time, when a kid's on fire, you just kind of keep giving them the ball.
With Sarah and Lizzie being out, really Meredith Howe is the freshman who's getting the bulk of the playing time right now. How's she kind of fitting into your lineup, and how would you evaluate her progression from the beginning of the year?
Yeah, she's progressed just tremendously throughout the year. She came in as a great athlete, a great defender, a really high-level worker, just incredible work ethic, but serve receive was just kind of okay. And she's improved tremendously on that phase of the game throughout the year. And she works that hard. Everyone loves playing next to someone that works like that. And I love having a kid like that on the court. Covers every time. Hitter goes up to swing, you can bet that she's going to be there covering. Doesn't matter if she was at, in zone 5 and left back and she had to go all the way to right front to cover, she's going to be there. And that's something that we've seen in her since even in the recruiting process, and continues to happen now. With regards to Lizzie and Sarah, they're still out, but they're getting closer to being back. And they're starting to, I think they're now at the place that we're able to start integrating them in practice. They're not all the way clear, but they're working their way back in. So I think we're now down to talking days, not weeks, which is what it has been for those 2, and so we're definitely looking forward to getting those 2 kids back.
Finally, my last question for me, you got Akron and Buffalo again. Can you just talk about maybe the way they've been playing since the last time we saw them?
I think, of the 2, Buffalo is, they're just a tremendous physical team. They're very, very athletic, and I think what they're learning, they're just getting a little bit better in serve receive. Ball control is getting better, and so then their athletes can do more at the net. We won against them last time because we served very well. That's something we'll need to do again, knowing we may not get as big of a return. I don't really expect to go get 14 aces again in a 3-set match, but if we can get 2 aces per set instead of almost 5 aces per set, however many sets we play, I think that's still a good outcome. We just need to focus on getting them out of the system because they are a very physical team. I think with regards to Akron, they've made a couple of lineup changes. They're playing better now. They went 5 with NIU a couple of weeks ago. They won a match over this last weekend. They've had several. They've been very, very close. They put a kid on the outside who's doing a really nice job for them. And so we just know they're better and they're improved. They're not a team that we can overlook. And they're a team that at their place, the last couple of years, we've had some challenges. We've won, but it hasn't been easy. It's been usually at home, we've won pretty easily. At their place, maybe it's 4 close sets or something like that. So we're not going to go in there thinking it's just going to be a walkover. They're 2 good teams that if they can eliminate their weaknesses and accentuate their strengths on those days, they can be formidable opponents.
Headed now to the second round of kind of playing some teams a second time, what advantages or disadvantages does that bring?
Well, you know more about them, and that's an advantage, but they know more about you. I mean, it goes both ways. And so in some ways, the scouting, maybe the time that, as coaches, you're still going to put the same amount of time in, but the amount of time you put that video, that information in front of the team maybe doesn't have to be as long. And so I think that's probably good for our kids. We can spend a little more of our focus and our effort on us, maybe watching our own video, focusing on the things we need to improve, and more reminding, hey, this is what this team did last time. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, now I remember that. That's usually pretty quick. And then here's what they're doing a little differently. And here are a few things that we did well against them last time. Here's what we didn't do well. And so it's maybe if the first time here's this long story of a team. Now it's maybe more the Cliff Notes version and just a couple of maybe key points, and that gives us more time just to focus on us because we need to be improving ourselves and focusing on that a lot this time of year.
Is there any thought of putting Lizzie at middle or trying to get her out there somehow when she gets back because she was playing well when she was healthy?
Well, Lizzie at middle would be then our third outside here that we've put at middle. So we're hoping that we're not doing that. I'm trying to think now how many outside hitters have not played middle. That's starting to be a shorter list than those that have. But I think right now we have a group that's doing well. And I think what we're all seeing, I think, is pretty amazing for everyone to watch is the development of Simone. I mean, how fast that is happening, that's not normal. I mean, that's just, middle is, especially blocking middle, I believe is the hardest skill in college volleyball because the game is just so fast. And you have to, if the other team is in system, you have to see a number of things all at once. You have to read, you have to make a decision, then you have to go somewhere, be in control. A lot, I mean, I'm not going to get all the technical details, but there's a lot to it. And she went out and got 7 blocks and in a 3-set match, no less. And then at the same time got 7 kills and hit 460. So, I mean, she's a kid that, I mean, her improvement curve is pretty much a vertical straight line right now. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that continues. And can that continue? How long can we keep doing this? Because if so, we have 4 weeks into a conference tournament. That's a long time, considering that's twice as long as she's been playing middle at the college level. You know, she's been doing it for 2 weeks, and really less than 2 weeks because she didn't get to practice that first week of it. So she's been playing middle for, I don't know, 11 days or so at this point. And we have about 25 days until we start postseason play. She could be a pretty special kid at that position by the time we get there if she works hard and if she keeps learning and if we keep teaching and all the things happen that we can best use her skill set. Because she's not going to be a traditional middle. I mean, we know that. She hasn't really run as much first tempo. But some of the balls that she hit are just different balls. They're just different balls than anyone on our team can hit. Some of the block moves she made this weekend, she made, and this is 2 weekends in a row she's done this, that she committed to her right, fronting a middle who was running an A, and then the ball was set back to her left, probably 18 feet away, and she closed. And I know I talked about that last week because it was so, whoa, I can't believe that just happened, and it happened again this weekend. Literally, there was a play that I had already switched my vision to our back row because I knew we had a single and I knew the direction we were going to funnel the ball. And so I was already looked to our back row, and then all of a sudden the ball was erased. And I was just like, what just happened? And then Simone happened. She just showed up, and we had no idea that she was going to be able to go from where she was to there. And she's living in that great place that she, I don't know, some kids live in that they don't know what they don't know kind of thing. And I think she knows a lot more than people think she knows, but she just doesn't seem to get overwhelmed in moments. And that's a pretty impressive characteristic, and she's doing some great things. So that was a long answer to a question that wasn't about Simone, but we're pretty excited about her lately.
You obviously just touched on the ways you kind of move your players around, whether it's Simone or Carly or Natalie. Do you see this kind of creative use of your roster as an advantage over the last season where you kind of had a core group of players? Or do you think of it as a disadvantage that you kind of have younger, more inexperienced players?
Yeah, good question. I think it could be both. You know, I think the more kids that contribute, the higher percentage of kids that get out there on a somewhat regular basis, the easier it is in terms of morale, in terms of excitement, in terms of all that. You maybe don't have as good of a on-court relationship person to person because you're not playing next to the same person that you've played next to for maybe 2 months or 3 months like we did last year. And so there's a little more verbal communication has to happen because you're not as used to playing next to each other. You don't know, like, the distance between you and that person. It's going to change a little bit. And so how far you have to go on defense to cover that ball in the seam changes a little bit. But I think it also says a lot about the kids that are willing to move around. And whether it's an outside that's going to play middle, an outside who's been the all-everything kid now, but a month ago was our libero, to Brooke started the year at libero, but now has been phenomenal in zone 1. A couple of different setters have played. Both of them have been on the court when we've won 5th set matches. We've had, Erica was one place, now she's at libero, really taking off. And so I'm never upset when you can get to about middle of September and like, yep, we got it figured out. This is our group, and they can just roll, you know. And if you have an injury, okay, our next kid just goes in. And it's just a very easy, you know, systematic progression throughout the year. Those are in some ways less stressful years, but at the same time, it's fun being creative. It's fun finding out new things about your team. No one would have thought some of the things that are happening now could happen 2 months ago, because we hadn't considered that as an option. You don't go into the year thinking about we're going to run multiple outside hitters through the middle position, but some years are like that, and so you choose to keep trying different things, keep poking around, keep moving the puzzle pieces, and sooner or later you start seeing things that work. And I think we've gotten to that point at a number of positions, and so I think they're both disadvantages and advantages.